And here we go, live again, I would think. And this is Be Smart on Air, but a bit different one, since it's all about Hangouts use, and I think focus mainly on educational use of Hangouts, since it really seems that there is quite a bit of potential in Hangouts in education. So let's see where we get from there. EH2 Live, yep, education Hangouts help. At least we try to help ourselves. That's a good start. The tagline being, "We mess things up on air, so you don't need to." I like that. I always mess things up. So, yep, I'm up here in the very far north in Sweden. And let's make a quick introduction. Well, I'm a language teacher, and that's about it. Jennifer, what are you doing?
Sure. Thanks for having me. I'm Jen Scheffer. I am the Instructional Technology Specialist at Burlington High School in Burlington, Massachusetts. We are a one-to-one iPad district in grades 1 through 12. We're also a Google Apps for Education district. I have been able to add Certified Google Educator to my resume. I recently earned that, so I'm really excited about that. And yeah, passed all the tests. And I'm also now working half-time. Okay, now you're just showing off. I have to start implementing those sound effects. I'm also working in a 0.5 role as a mobile learning coach. So now I have the freedom and flexibility to venture into the middle and the elementary schools here in the district to assist with integration. I haven't done that much yet, but I'm really excited to work with some of the younger grades and possibly expose some of the middle school and elementary school teachers to the potential of using Hangouts in the classroom. I run a student-run help desk here at the high school. I have 15 students, and they assist with integration in the classroom. They do app reviews and screencast tutorials, and one of them is in here now busy working on a project, but they've also been doing lots of Hangouts. So that's me.
Good enough. More than that, I'd say. Hey, Bjorn, can you stay with us for a while now, do you think?
Yeah, I think I can. So.
Excellent. Who are you? What are you doing here?
Who am I? Oh, I'm just a crazy guy in Vermont.
I'm
the
right
IT.
for you.
Yeah. Yeah, we actually have to get together at some point and do a hangout because I want to get what you were talking about with the students, getting them involved.
We are together.
Yeah.
We're doing a hangout. What are you talking about?
Okay, maybe. Well,
let's do it today.
We'll make it work. Okay, so hi, I'm Bjorn Berendt. I'm the IT coordinator for Fairhaven High School in Vermont. We just rolled out 450 Chromebooks to students and another 50-ish to all the staff. So all of our staff and all of our students are one-to-one Chromebooks, and we have every learning pane that goes with that. I'm a late start because I was talking with our bosses about how to disable proxy extensions, which is our newest battle. So yeah, and author of a few add-ons and stuff like that. So big Google guy.
Very good. And the author of G-Class folders to start with, which was a real lifesaver for me when I got started with Google Apps in my school, which is actually also a one-to-one school. No iPads, well, I guess a couple, well, that's it. But we've had MacBooks for 3 years, and before we got started here, I mentioned to Bjorn that after 3 years, somehow the folks in charge noticed that they are way too expensive. Well, yeah, it took 3 years to figure that one out, and now we're not having any. We don't have any Mac longer, not the new ones at least. So we have crappy PCs. Well, I guess they are okay, but they are like cheap PCs, and we had expensive. So it definitely is a difference. I mean, cheap stuff is cheap stuff, and most often, if you pay more, you get what you pay for. So that's the way it is. But what else? Yeah, I've been only doing Hangouts with other teachers and folks in education. So, Jennifer, you've definitely been a lot more into Hangouts in education in that respect, that you've been working with your students. You've been doing some real work with this. By the way, Kim, you are wandering around somewhere in like southern Sweden, I think. What is your present situation? Can you give us a quick introduction?
Yeah, I'm an IT administrator at a high school in southern Sweden, in Malmö, and I've been using Google Apps and those tools for a couple of years, and recently got involved doing Hangouts, mostly for fun, but also for some development for myself and other teachers. I haven't been doing Hangouts with students that much.
You are the mobile guy. You've been biking with your gear and what?
So right now
somewhere.
I'm in Norrköping. Yes, it's south half of Sweden, and I'm going by train back to Malmö in about 20 minutes.
Okay,
And
very
I
cool.
take part in on-air conferences, no matter where I am or what I'm doing.
Good.
To the others.
Excellent. I figured we might say a couple of words and discuss a little bit what Hangouts actually, what it is, and perhaps also what it is not. And actually, I have hardly been using like regular Hangouts at all, or very, very little. But the thing I have experience of mostly is the on-air thing, and I guess the on-air thing is what sets Hangouts apart from most of the competition, I think. So let's see, when the Hangouts get started, if we start with that, I think it was something like, was it 1.5 years ago when they introduced Hangouts?
I'm not sure when it was launched.
Something like that. I think it's something like mid 2013. I think so.
Yeah, I was introduced to it in May of, I'm trying to think what year it is, 2013. In May, I went to EdCamp Boston, and I stayed in contact with one of the organizers of the EdCamp Boston through Twitter, and she said, you know, you should really take a look at Hangouts. So her and I connected through Hangouts, and we didn't do an on-air Hangout. So she exposed it to me and just explained that, you know, you can have 10 people in this, and right away I was just very captivated by the potential of using Hangouts with students right away. And I'm kind of like you, Nilo. Since that initial introduction, I have more experience with on-air Hangouts than I do with.
And of course, on air being the publicly streamed version, huh?
Yes, yeah, that's what I think is the huge advantage, is having an archive of the conversation or the demonstration if you did a screen share, and then just being able to take that YouTube video and embed it into a blog, or, you know, just to share it with your community locally and globally. So I think that for me is what sells me on Hangouts. And I have a student who's approaching me now, but he's walking away. Okay.
Oh.
You want to jump in here?
What's going on?
We're having a hangout. You can say hi.
Hi there.
I told you
Hello.
that this would happen. We're live.
It's great. Someone has real, actual students around.
I know. They're not just a myth.
No, they're not. We don't have any there, any of those guys here around now. It's like they are off duty this week, and the teachers have been here now like 2 days, and then we will be off duty a couple of days as well. So
this is my planned period, so I actually don't have students this particular period. The rest of the day, it's chaos. Controlled chaos.
Yeah. Well, as long as there's just a little bit of control, it's fine. That's the way I think.
Yep.
What about the? Oh man, my voice is going. It's still kind of a pit, really. What about the main competition for Hangouts? What do you think?
That one that begins with an S. That
I was
doesn't
gonna
want
say,
What's that? What's that? Yeah, one with an S. There's some kind of a Swedish connection there, if I'm not badly mistaken, huh?
Oh, Skype. I don't know. Skype has its places. I think it's just historically still there. But
Microsoft Skype, huh?
yeah, no, it was good before Microsoft bought it.
How did they mess it up?
Oh, they always mess up everything.
I think they're invested in product placement because there's been quite a few films I've seen that have this, there's a scene where they're doing a video call and it's always Skype. I don't know if you've noticed that, but I'm thinking, how come Google Hangouts isn't, paying for that that product placement? But I don't think they need to. To me, you say, what's the competition? I would say none. I mean, I just don't think Skype can compare to this. I mean, you can't wear funny hats in Skype as far as I know. You can't have sound effects and applause and, the crickets chirping if you tell a bad joke. But, Hangouts isn't perfect. Like you said earlier in your introduction, we fail live on air, so you don't have to. And, I do that weekly with my students, and I think it's a really incredible, authentic learning experience for them when they try these types of connections and they go wrong technically. We did, one of the things that I'm most proud of is on the 16th, we did a live Hangout on Air demo slam, and it was run by students. So we connected students from Massachusetts. I believe we had 6 schools in the call, and I literally shut the door and walked out of the room and let the students facilitate the call. And each school had to screen share and do their demo slam. And one of my students was facilitating, and he, forgot to click on his peer who was sitting right next to him so that the screen share could take place. So the entire demo was a blank blue screen streaming live on air, and you could hear my student's voice, but you couldn't see the video, so you couldn't see the screen share. So they learned from that mistake, and they're not going to make it again. They're motivated to do it again to sort of redeem themselves. It was a great experience in video editing for me and one of my other help desk students, because we took that 45-minute call and we took out all the dead space and all the bad clips, and it was condensed down to a 32-minute video. But the chance for those kids to connect that way was great, and then they got to meet in person last Thursday. My students and one of the crews from North Reading High School in North Reading, Massachusetts, they met face to face, and it was really funny because I was getting ready to go on the elevator, and around the corner I started hearing these voices of kids, and I said, I know those voices, and they were some of the kids that were in the call from the week before. So I came out from around the corner and I said, hey guys, and they said, oh, hi, Miss Scheffer. So it was like we knew each other because we had that. I consider Hangouts a face-to-face meeting, and I think that just proves the point. That story I just told proves it, because I heard those kids' voices. We had met before. I recognized them. We had that automatic relationship already established, and this is we talk about the future. The future is now. I think this is the way students are going to be interviewing for jobs certainly if they interview at Google, they'll probably be asked to have a conversation with a recruiter or a hiring manager via a Hangout. So I think we're doing a disservice not to take advantage of these kinds of opportunities for the kids. And I do have to credit Kern Kelly, who is my sort of Hangout idol, because his Tech Sherpa show was my motivation to start a Help Desk Live show. And I really want to sort of continue to emulate what Kern does with his kids, and they do a lot of screen sharing. So they're doing screencasting through Hangouts, and I want my students to start doing that more often than the format of our show has been a lot of interviewing of guests. So I'd like them to sort of, branch out and to start doing some of the screen share and showing off their technical expertise through this platform.
Amazingly cool stuff, I must say that.
I'm pretty proud of them.
It's really, really something else. And then, of course, there is this live component. And I must say that the very thing that it's live, it's really something that, I mean, the stuff I've been doing, I don't much think about if someone is watching or listening. Most often I rip the audio afterwards and have it somewhere available in audio only format as well. But just the fact that it's possible for basically anyone with an internet connection to listen or watch, it gives the whole situation a bit of nerve in a way that's kind of fascinating, and I like that. I really like that, and I think I've definitely learned a heck of a lot out of that.
Do you mind if I throw something in there about the live aspect of it? I have 2 students that are Ivy League bound, and we're talking 2,300 SAT scores. So I'm thinking, what am I going to teach these students?
Pretty sharp, huh?
Yeah, yes. But like you said, the nerve factor of going live on air and having a conversation live, that's an experience, a real experience that these students haven't, been a part of. And so I'm giving them those opportunities, and it's meeting all kinds of Common Core state standards that we have here in the States. And, like I said, for teachers not to learn how to do this, it is relatively simple, technically speaking. It can be a little clunky. I have figured out a way that works well for me, and I wanted to do a screencast on that. That screencast itself is going to be a little complex, but because I kind of want to show it from both sides, from, if you're facilitating the call or if you're just being on the panel and joining the call. But I think once teachers see how to do it, they'll be more apt to try it, and connect their students to the world, or, connect their classes to one another. And, like I said, I just think this is a really powerful, learning experience for teachers and students. We're at the point where we're all learning together. I had my students at the MassQ conference. They interviewed one of the award winners, a former colleague of mine. They did a live hangout right during lunchtime. We just launched it, fired it up, did a 5-minute interview, and now we have that record of that archive on YouTube, and we can put it in a blog post and share it with the world, like I said earlier. So.
Yep.
Yeah, have they added the feature where you can record these to non-public, so straight to private?
Yep. You can
Yeah.
do that.
I haven't started on it. Hang on. I've been out of it. I've been rolling out Chromebooks for the past few months. I've been out of what the new features in Hangouts were. So I was hoping they added that.
It's no problem doing that. I've been, let's see, there are so many ways of doing things connected to Hangouts that sometimes I still get kind of lost here. But I've been doing like private on-air Hangouts, meaning that you get a recording, YouTube recording, through YouTube live events.
Okay, so through the YouTube live events. I remember being able to do it there.
That's not the only way of doing it. I think you can do it through through Google Plus as well, I think.
So you set your video to private through YouTube? I don't know if I'm following you there. Would I go to my?
Well, let's say you wanted to record you wanted to actually record a meeting between principals where there might be confidential information, somewhat confidential information. You don't necessarily want that going out to the public.
Right.
But you want a video recorded version of that. And I know YouTube Live has the ability to go straight to a private video, so it doesn't go out live. Or actually, does it go out live, and then it just automatically switches?
Well, you can just fire up a Hangout through YouTube Live events, and before you start it, you just mark it private.
Yeah, does it actually
then
go
you just
private?
fire up a Hangout, the usual way, and hopefully it will be private. Perhaps if there'd be a glitch, you never know.
I would not take that risk. I
wouldn't take the risk, but I'm just thinking, ones that aren't.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say ones that aren't, as confidential, but still, the world doesn't need to be listening to our faculty meeting if we're including a member from someplace else, but we do want it recorded type of a deal.
Yeah, I guess we all know that anything that's connected to internet might someday end up being very public. So that's just the way things are, I guess.
Bjorn, you mentioned principals, and I just wanted to throw in there a lot of folks that I've been meeting and promoting Google Apps, because I'm a Google gal, love Google. I think there's still that fear factor, and we can't allow our students to use this tool. It's blocked or it's banned. And in Burlington, our students do not have access to Google Plus or Hangouts, and they can't. So they just do it through my account. So I think we're still, in many districts throughout the country, if not the world, we're still dealing with people in leadership positions that don't understand the benefit of this kind of tool in an educational setting. I'm fortunate to work in a district where they do understand that and advocate for it, and they trust me as the professional educator to use it the right way. But I think that's one of the battles that a lot of teachers, a lot of rogue Google Apps users. I was a former rogue user myself, and that's a battle that we're still trying to fight, and it's tough.
We actually have another situation here. We're on the opposite end of things where I have a principal who is all about openness. So we have open Facebook, open everything.
So do we, by the way.
We are too in Burlington. I was referring to a former district. We have everything here.
I'm going to hijack this a little bit then. We're dealing with an issue where, like, Facebook has become a management issue. Like, it's beyond what teachers can manage. So it's not. And I blocked one game, and I blocked one game, and now almost every single student has found the proxy add-ons and stuff like that. So, I mean, have you had any?
What a surprise, Bjorn, huh?
Yeah, I'm not surprised, but teachers are like, "Well, you blocked it, and the students are still on." I'm like, "Yeah, now I have no control to see what they're doing and hold them accountable." But
yeah, I think schools that aren't even one-to-one are dealing with that. They have computers in their pocket. They all have iPhones and Androids, and they're connected to the internet 24/7. So I think this is my second year in Burlington, and I've heard a lot of students say when I first got my iPad and I was playing games, it affected their grades, and then they learned to self-manage and self-control, and they realized, what, if I don't do my work and if I'm not academically inclined, then there's going to be negative consequences. So they quickly learn especially when they transition into the high school and there's a greater workload and there's more demands, they have to learn how to, manage themselves and their device. And it does work. Overall, the climate here is pretty focused on academics.
How about the teachers in that regard? What did they do, and what was their role, and what was the administrator's role in that?
In what regard, as far as management of
management in an open environment? Like, what how did the administrator support the teachers, and how did the teachers get control of the kids?
Well, I think just like they did when they didn't have devices, So here I am in a one-to-one classroom environment where the devices are mobile. I've always taught in a lab setting. My previous 12 years, I taught in a PC lab, and we had a program called Synchronize. So if I wanted to lock my students' computers, I could lock it, and it would say eyes up at the front. So it's just good classroom management. The key word that we use here in the district, I think more and more teachers are using it, is Apple side up. It's a relatively small device, so we can say put your device down, or I'll say devices down. Put the iPad on the table if we're not using the tool for that particular task. Today, my students were doing a project, and I know that they're doing it because I'm getting submissions through Classroom that they're completing the work. So I think the classroom management is like in any other class with or without technology. I mean, when I was in school, it was, if you're passing notes, it was a lot easier to pass notes. Now iPads are a little bit more obvious, so I think it's easier in a way. And the administration here just supports the teachers managing their own classes as they see fit. Some days we're not using the iPad today. We're going down to the library and we're sending out Chromebooks. I'm right outside the library, and all the students are using their Chromebooks right now. They've signed those out, and so they're doing a lot of word processing, I assume with Google Docs. So
yeah, we did.
And it's just being aware. I walk around, I can see what they're doing on their iPad. We use AirPlay, so the teacher, when you're in a one-to-one classroom, you're not tied to the board. You're not tied to your desk. You should be walking around, and that's just good classroom management with or without devices. It sounds easier, but it is challenging. But you just have to be aware, and you have to be constantly checking on making sure the kids are on task. Typically they are.
Being a one-to-one Chromebook, we started with right at the beginning. I tried to enforce lids up, lids down, and it's a learning. It is a learning thing. I think right now we're at the phase where our teachers are looking to the IT department to help manage their classroom, and they were looking at that before with their phones. And as much as we do need to, enforce acceptable use policies, which we're trying to do too, but it's that classroom management. And I'm wondering if maybe getting together with you through a hangout at a faculty meeting with some of your teachers who's been doing one-to-one might be a good idea.
That would be really cool.
So speaking of using Hangouts and bringing it back there. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't teach quote-unquote traditional core subjects now. I'm running this help desk program, and my students in here are always on task. I shouldn't say always, but if they're not doing work for help desk, they're doing work for another class. So they're not playing Angry Birds or playing games. I also think if it's an engaging task, that's really going to help with classroom management. If the iPad is a creation device, not a consumption device. So if I'm reading on the iPad, I'm not necessarily more engaged, as if compared to reading from a textbook. If I'm reading on my iPad and there's interactivity and there's videos, there's quizzes, there's so many things you can do to make it an active experience. That's great. But I'm trying more and more every day to get my students to create with that device, because that's what it's for. And today they were writing digital citizenship PSAs in a Google Doc. We got together as a class, and then they all started kind of bouncing ideas in small groups, and they said, hey, we have an idea. So this pair went off onto their own. Those 4 kids went on. So now instead of having one PSA, I'm going to end up with maybe 4 or 5 in both of my classes, and I'm giving them that flexibility. I'm not controlling, how the project develops. They're kind of guiding it, but at the end of the day, they're creating something. We're doing a little app smashing, so it's going to be quite interesting what the final product looks like. But they're having fun, and they're learning, and they're collaborating, and that, to me, is what this is all about.
I guess there are always discussions about how well things work especially in one-to-one environments. We definitely do, and well, we haven't been blocking anything. I guess we could, it would be complicated, and I'm now talking about the pre-Google Apps for Education period. We could have, I guess, like phoned the IT department and told to block whatever service if that would have been considered necessary, but we've never done that. And as to Google Apps stuff, so we haven't been blocking anything either, but definitely there are discussions, frequent discussions about how things work, and if they don't, what we can do about that. And yeah, it's not easy for sure.
Yeah. No, it's fine.
My students are a bit younger, I think, than yours, Jennifer. Our students are, or mine are 13 to 15, and perhaps it's a little bit different in that respect as well.
I have freshmen.
Go ahead. Huh?
In the digital literacy class that I teach, it's predominantly freshmen.
Age?
14, 15.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I see a difference between that group of students compared to my seniors. They have a lot more experience, and with the device and the expectations of the teachers. But I think the freshmen learn really quickly, as I mentioned, that the expectation here is that you use that device responsibly for learning purposes. And I talked to some freshmen at the very beginning of the year, and I said, "Do you like it here so far?" And they said, "Yeah, and it's way better than middle school." And I said, "Why?" And they said, "Because we treated like adults." And I thought that was really cool. And at the middle school, they're one-to-one, but they can't take the devices home. So when they get to the become freshmen here at the high school, now all of a sudden, you're taking this home, you got to be responsible for it, get insurance. We don't mandate insurance, but we highly recommend it. And we highly recommend a durable case. We emphasize that it is made out of glass. And we have them download, we do summer orientation for the freshmen coming in, and we say, we want you to download the Google Apps suite right off the bat, Drive and Docs and Sheets and Slides, and some of our other foundational apps, Book Creator, iMovie. We have them download those apps. So, right from the start, we're trying to emphasize this device is for your learning. We don't mention games and those kinds of things, but the culture here, I think having that openness, I think if you're blocking and banning, you're just going backwards. I just don't get that.
Yeah, it will be a rocky road for sure, I think.
I think one of the things that I'm doing, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Joe.
I was going to say one of the things I'm dealing with is we're still in the very new factor. I mean, Chromebooks have been out in students' hands for just about a month, maybe a little over now. And so everybody's still finding their way. And like I said, I didn't know any experience with the teachers because we're going to be having a meeting this afternoon, one of our first tech meeting, looking at some of the feedback. And it's students and staff are always have basically the same thing. Students are too easily distracted by what they can do, and so bringing them into focus, and they're like, okay, well, we're using Hapara Teacher Dashboard, so we have the remote management, and they're like, well, I don't want to be sitting here clicking off on all the students constantly. I mean, I know I walked out of one teacher's room, scared the students living because I walked out and with like that really deep, it's actually my coach voice, lids down if you're on Facebook, and it's just everybody just shut their Chromebooks down and like pay attention to the teacher. It was, but
They're
I mean, I
still
think
using
there is.
Facebook?
Yeah, well,
Really?
we don't have self-service, so who knows what we would be in trouble with if we didn't, if we actually had it within our school. But I mean, there's Snapchat. I know there's a lot of Snapchat. I know. I don't know about how much Twitter is there, but I think I hear a lot of Snapchats, which scares me.
As it should. No.
Yeah, that just scares me as to what's going on there.
Talking about Google Apps for Education especially, so I was just checking that earlier today. I wasn't quite sure how Hangouts on air especially can be used if you are running Google Apps for Education, since Hangouts on air is a Google Plus service. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Well,
it's the case that Hangouts on air is a Google Plus service, huh?
Yeah, Hangouts Hangouts on Air is part of Google Plus.
Yeah.
Any student, I think it's 13 and above, can use Google Plus and use Hangouts on Air. Any student younger than that will have to use the video chat feature that's built into Talk if you want them to do it. Which
right. So you better be careful that your students, all the students that have access to Google Plus and Hangouts on Air really are 13 or above. Otherwise, I guess that can be trouble.
They'll shut it off.
Shut down, yeah.
Go on.
Sorry, your domain administrator can turn the Plus and Hangouts on or off, right, for your students?
Absolutely.
If they're
I just checked it today, and I had actually turned on the I had switched the Google Plus on for teachers, and then I think, yeah, I had to switch on within Google Plus. I had to turn on the Hangouts on Air separately.
Yeah, we have it for teachers, but we don't have it for students.
Yeah, that's the same deal here right now, but I don't know. That's something that we must discuss and try to figure out what's the best way of doing it, and if we'd open up Hangouts on Air for students 13 and above, what would be the user case in that case?
See, I'm looking forward to at least launching it with a project. You know, work with one teacher.
Agreed to that.
That's when you start it, rather than open and go.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not saying that it's not open, but I think it's more introduce and go. I want to introduce it with a project. If they happen to find it and it's there, great. But I think that's going to be a big difference.
Yeah, I view my role as sort of finding ways to incorporate a tool like Hangouts to benefit the community, so the school community. So we have morning announcements every day, and we have 3 stellar seniors who do those announcements, and they're very animated, they're very articulate, they're a lot of fun to listen to. And the other day, really entertaining and informative, and they have a little tagline at the end of it, and I thought to myself, aha, let's make these morning announcements live Hangout on air. And I ran the idea past my students. I have to run the idea past my principal. If he's listening, I don't know, but I think he's going to say, yeah, sure, go for it. But what a cool way to use Hangouts. It'll be live on YouTube. It'll be archived we're probably going to make a separate channel. And if I'm a parent, or a community member, I can see those students daily and find out what's going on. And I think it's a really powerful way to demonstrate responsible digital citizenship. These students are leveraging technology in a positive way to inform their community. I mean, there's just so many benefits to it. And I think, you know, we could be setting up a precedent for the future to, you know, be a school that it's like a live news broadcast. You know, we don't have to we don't have to use any other tool. It just, you fire it up, you go, and you're done. So I'm really excited. We have a goal for hopefully early November to start and fire up. We have a Chromebook, so we just start it through a Chromebook and you know, see where it goes. So if students are absent, they can just go to the channel and hear the announcements. And so I'll let you know how that goes.
I'm looking forward to it. We set up a TV in our lobby this past year, and I can't speak enough about this. It's a web-based app called Rise Vision that uses Google Apps for digital signage. And we have one student who, he's not using Hangouts, but he does the weather every single day, twice a day.
I've heard about that, Bjorn, earlier.
Yeah, and he even gets into the local TV station, and he does he took a green screen and everything, so he does a very professional weather report.
Wow.
Well, he's also like our major news guy, and so I gave him access to the TV and says, here you go, it's all yours. Help build it up. And he got it so his YouTube video plays on a loop from like the morning time when it's during that lobby time. So he got it to automatically start at a specific time using this tool, using a YouTube video.
See, that's the kind of student I'd like to connect that's the kind of thing that I would like to, you know, have the kids hear from the student, having them learn from each other.
Yeah.
The student that was in here earlier is working on a little animated intro for our Help Desk Live segment, and he's making it in Flash, I think he said. It is so cool. He's got music in there, so whenever we start the Hangout, we can have that little trailer in the beginning. But my kids would love to talk to your kids about the student you're talking about. What's the name of that program? Rise, you said?
Rise Vision. R-I-S-E. It's digital signage. It's free. It integrates with Google Apps. But yeah, and I could, you know, delegate different users to do different things. But that was a really good find, and like I said, my student took that and really ran with it. But yeah, unfortunately, he's gone to Stafford Technical Center, so he's not even in the building anymore.
Oh, well, that's okay. So through a Hangout, we can.
Oh yeah, we can still do it. He's still doing a lot of news things there. I mean, he's where he should be because he's doing like a lot of new stuff out there. But
is he a senior?
He is. So we'll have to get him this year.
Yeah, grab him. Have him train somebody before he leaves.
But
it's one thing I've been thinking of would be pretty cool using Hangouts to have some kind of a international news desk. You know, like a couple of schools from around the world working together, say 5-6 schools, and perhaps 5 minutes newscast every month or whatever. That would be pretty darn neat. Like producing their own stuff as much as possible. The students, I mean. And wow.
I agree.
Just get past that time zone thing.
Yeah, there's always this time zone thing.
You just took the words out of my mouth, Bjorn. I was
darn. Good idea.
Before I go to post something to you, Nilo, I always I go to the time converter all the time on that. I got to bookmark that site because I'm like, okay, it's 3 a.m. there. I'm going to hold off, you know. But that is the biggest challenge, is just the logistics of the time. I'm talking with.
You can always post something if I'm stupid enough to answer. So.
Right, but I'm sure you have your notifications set to on, like I do, and my phone is just all the time going on.
Not I'm sleeping. I'm telling you, when I'm sleeping, my phone is silent.
I'm gonna invest in an old school alarm clock. I think just shut my phone off. I've been talking with a gentleman by the name of Matt Robinson who runs. He's trying to get a student tech team up and running in Australia. So but you know, it is in the middle of the night there when it's daytime here. So we're just somebody's group of students. He really wants to connect the kids, and as do I. But somebody's going to be doing it from home in the evening. And I don't know about you, but my students here are involved in everything under the sun. I mean, they are highly active in the community, in clubs and organizations. So it's a logistical thing that we have to try to work through. But I did a hangout with Students International last year, and it was an absolute mess. The audio, I mean, I should just delete it from my YouTube channel, because it's like, it's so embarrassing. But you know what? I tried it. You read all these posts about failing, and I have plenty of evidence of that. But you know, I've come a long way since then to have the Hangouts try to run seamless. But you know, 9 times out of 10, there is going to be a technical issue.
Yeah, for heaven's sake, I almost got stuck with some darn stupid stuff here, trying to get my gear up to speed here. This PC I'm using, I just couldn't get any incoming audio. You know, I don't know why, and oh, man, it can be really frustrating for sure. But talking about Hangouts still, it's not one of the things I think that's not so easy using Hangouts. Is the very fact that it's both positive, it's both good thing, and it can be a real pain that it's within the Google ecosystem, and if you are trying to connect with people who are not in there, it can be pretty darn hard. And it's, I mean, honest, it's not that easy always for me either, like finding your way into the Hangout, for example.
Yes. I just copy and paste the link and send it to the panelists through an email. Yeah,
that's the way to do it.
I've had the most success that way.
Pretty much foolproof thing. But thinking about connecting with someone who does not have a Google Plus presence, there are quite a few of those.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's not easy, and that might be something we could check out later on sometime. By the way, I've heard about a couple of ways of fixing that, or some kind of a workaround, whatever. Different ways of preparing guest
would be great. Yeah.
What's that, Bjorn?
Like a link only joining.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Yeah. I think someone posted about this. Was it? I guess it was Google Plus. That there are ways of preparing guest accounts using like Google Apps for Education, for example, perhaps. Of course, you can always create a guest account, but it's not that straightforward, since I think often you got to verify it through SMS or whatnot, and it can be tricky, I think.
Yeah, I would just assume teach people how to use Google Plus.
Well, if they don't want
it's
to.
An excellent. Yeah, well, I can be pretty persuasive. Yeah. But I mean, as far as a professional learning platform, it's amazing, and you know, with the ability to create your own communities, and I've had a lot more success. If I have a question, I can post it in a specific community on G+ and get an answer right away that you know, is longer than 140 characters. But I actually had a former student, and I walked him through setting up Hangouts over the phone. You know, I said, okay, I want you to, you know, go to Chrome, and I literally walked him through it, and then we got into the Hangout, and he's a college freshman, and when he saw what he could do, and when he saw Google+, he said, wow, this is really going to help me with networking. And, you know, he's an aspiring young marketing professional, and I said, absolutely. And he said, wow, this is kind of like Facebook, but it seems more professional. And I said, yep, you're getting it. And I got him into the Hangout, and you know, he just from there was able to run with it. So on my to-do list is a Google Plus tutorial, and then a walkthrough of how to use a Hangout. I think because if people could see it, especially if they're running the call and initiating it, if they can see sort of the, from your end, Nilo, from launching it, from your end, it looks different to you than it does to us. So
yeah.
Um,
Sure. I mean, I like Google Plus as well, but the fact is that sometimes you just wanted to have someone in a Hangout, and that person doesn't have Google Plus presence, or even a Google Plus account, for heaven's sake.
Right. Yeah.
You just want them there, and you don't have perhaps time or whatever to go through all this, whatever preparation it takes. So it would be cool to have some kind of quick fix there to get that person right in, But I think that can be done. I'll take a look at that later on, and perhaps there are some other things we might go through more in detail. You mentioned some things earlier, Jennifer, like lower thirds and whatnot. I've been using this web service, Hangout Magic. I guess it says Hangout Magic somewhere there in a corner. Really easy.
Oh, yeah.
But some of these things, and definitely about connecting Google Plus events and Hangouts on air, that is not very extremely easy either if you haven't been doing it a couple of times. And for my part, that's something I've been messing up even after I've done it like 20 times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you want me to go ahead? I'm sorry.
Yeah, Jen.
No, I was gonna. Jen, you go.
No, I just didn't know if you wanted me to mention anything about the lower third.
Sure. I mean, I'd like you to, but perhaps we're kind of running out of time soon here.
I was going to say it's 12.
Yeah, Evans. I was thinking like half an hour, 1 hour tops, and whoops, it was 1 hour already, almost. But like this hangout, this lower thirds thing, we could dig a little bit deeper into that. Say next time, whenever that will be, we must talk about that, and different ways of fixing lower thirds. We could talk about, like connecting Google Plus events and Hangouts on air, and how that works, and like I said, dig a little bit deeper in a couple of things that sometimes are a bit problematic.
Yeah, I'm going to take this opportunity to quickly do a plug for my own, because one of the things that I was running into was scheduling interviewees.
Yep, I remember that.
I came up with a little something, but I just wrote the new Forms add-on Choice Eliminator, which.
Oh, is it for that purpose?
Well, I wrote it so I could replace my, so I could have people sign up for different time slots.
So what is it doing?
I noticed you had done something, but I haven't had time to check it out. Interesting.
And I figured it would be a good one for the next podcast. It eliminates choices as you choose them in a Google form. So if you have like an appointment slots, or if you're signing up every Thursday and you once somebody chose that time, it takes it out of the list.
So for the next responder, that time will not be available?
Yeah, teachers have been eating it up for parent-teacher conferences.
I was going to say, you're a genius. That's awesome. Because I was using, I wanted to use the form, but to schedule appointments, but I was thinking, well, how is the respondent going to know if somebody has already booked that time with me? So I ended up using You Can Book Me, which is integrated with Calendar. But instead, I would rather use a form because it was,
the form add-on got launched this past week. So I think this is one of the first official announcements. And sorry to hijack the hangout here. Hi, Nilo.
It was a great opportunity to
no, that's perfect.
do that.
I thought it was a good lead-in for another conference. And by
the way, another thing connected to podcasts here. It seems that even quite a few of those podcast pro guys are now getting more and more into using Hangouts, perhaps as some kind of because of the live part of it, to get the interaction and whatnot, and then they just rip the audio and use that as a podcast episode. And I'm really interested in that. I'm really interested in the whole podcast thing. I wouldn't be doing podcasts only because I just don't find it interesting sitting here on my own with a microphone. I just wouldn't do it. But if I can turn the Hangout on-air episodes into podcast audio episodes so that people can subscribe to them and all that jazz, I would like to do that for sure.
Yeah, I wish there was a service that would take the YouTube channel and switch it to a podcast. I mean, if you find one, please, because I'm going back to. Yeah. I went the other way, and it's hard.
Well, it's pretty. Well, actually, it depends.
Me and little I will be able to talk about this forever, so I don't know what time you want.
I had a couple students do this last year. They took the audio from the Hangout. I think they took it from YouTube, and they put it into we did it for 2 episodes. We were going to use SoundCloud initially, but then we discovered that after 2 hours of audio, it's no longer free. So they used a different service. I forget what it was, but we haven't done it since. Because I'm like you, Nilo. I like the podcasts are great, but I like to get my students on camera. I think it's good experience and exposure. But I'll send you. Go ahead.
I was going to say, a good place you can store things now is actual Google Drive. They have unlimited space now, so you can upload the video in YouTube there.
Sure, I mean you can store your stuff. You can store your stuff in hundreds of places, but then there is the rest of the framework. You got to get the podcast episodes to iTunes basically, and preferably to other podcast aggregators as well, if you really want to give people a chance to find them and subscribe to them. So that's the thing. That connection. It's not very.
That sounds like a great episode for Ed Listen and Be Smart on Air.
Absolutely, and I think I know, Bjorn, you've been digging into this quite a bit, and there are others as well. And I was talking to some of those. Man, I'm lousy with names, but there are these guys who are doing podcasts big time.
Yeah, Ray.
Huh?
Ray Ortega.
Ray Ortega, yeah, he's like, I mean, audio. Jesus, I understand like, I don't know, 1% about what he's talking about as to audio.
Yeah, I had his set up last year, and now I'm down to just a single mic.
That's a great mic, though. Your audio is perfect.
Yeah, it's
it's the AT2100. It's about a $35 mic off of Amazon. It's awesome.
Well, I do have to get going.
Yeah, me too. Better go home. I want to go home. I want to get some food. Go out with the dog, you know.
Right, it's the end of your day.
Yep.
I'll just plug our Help Desk Live channel too on YouTube. So if anybody watches or has listened to this, it's you can just Google Burlington High School Help Desk Live, and the kids are, we did our first interview a couple weeks ago with the CEO of Segway, Rod Keller, and one of my students that did the interview was offered an opportunity to perhaps interview or intern with the DECA Corporation, owned by Dean Kamen. So after he caught his breath after that, he was like, "Thank you so much." He said, "Thank you so much for this opportunity." I got an email from him over the weekend. "Can you help me with my resume?" So, I mean, that's why I want to get the kids involved in this, because they're making connections. And, I didn't become connected myself until about 2 years ago, and I want them to do it much earlier and, have the opportunities that I didn't have until now. Doors are opening, and it's really because of social media. And I said to the students today, "I got to go. I'm talking to someone in Sweden," and they go, "How many people do you know in the world?" It was they got a kick out of it. But I think
tons and tons.
Tons. We're a globetrotter, but we're role models for them. And so when they hear that and they see that, they're like, "Wow, how does she do that?" And they get interested and intrigued, and then we influence them to follow in our footsteps and pursue their passions in whatever industry they want to go into. So.
And I must plug Beast Modern Air on, let's see, November what? November 10? Am I lying? No, I'm not lying. November 10. And talking about social media. Someone mentioned that? Huh? We'll be talking a little bit more about social media. Again, it's the sequel from the previous episode where we did some myth debunking and declared some truths and whatnot. So there'll be quite a bit about social media coming up, and I think that'll be interesting. So hope to see you guys there, and many others too, I hope. November 10th, coming up.
I'd like to have my students in on that one for sure.
Yep, please do.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nilo.
Take good care, everyone, and see you on air, folks.
We hope to see more of you next time.
Yep. Bye.
Bye-bye.